A major announcement by NATO launching what it's calling an Eastern Sentry to keep Russian drones out of NATO member states like Poland.
NATO is launching Eastern Sentry to bolster our posture even further along our eastern flank. This military activity will commence in the coming days and will involve a range of assets from allies including Denmark, France, United Kingdom, Germany and others. In addition to more traditional military capabilities, this effort will also feature elements designed to address the particular challenges associated with the use of drones.
Now, the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, there, making it clear how he feels about Russian drones falling onto Polish territory, calling it reckless and unacceptable. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk also furious, saying it was an attack, not by mistake, by Russia after President Trump said it could have been an accident. Joining me now, former US Ambassador to NATO Ivo Daalder. All right, well, now here we go. This is tricky because you want to react, but you don't want to overreact. You want to tell Russia, get back, but at the same time, not overdo it. Do you think this does it?
Well, I think it's an important step because clearly you do want to defend the borders of NATO against any intrusion, particularly the kind of intentional intrusion we saw a few days ago with 19 drones clearly being directed at Polish territory. At the same time, I think a little more than just Eastern Sentry, which is basically a beefing up of the defense of Poland. Polish defenses were already pretty good. I think a little more beefing up can be done by taking our militaries that are being deployed in Poland and not only shooting those drones down that are coming across the border, but actually trying to shoot drones and ballistic missiles down that are reaching Ukraine. Why not? Because we don't know whether those missiles are going to come be diverted or the drones will fly towards NATO territory. So why not be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more willing to defend NATO territory forward?
Now, you're former US Ambassador, so you can speak freely in that sense. It's not very helpful when President Trump talks about, well, it could have been a mistake, when just about everybody and their brother who knows about these things says there's no way this was a mistake.
It's not helpful at all. And in fact, the president's reaction over the past 48 hours has been unhelpful in many ways. As you quoted him, here we go. I don't know what that means, but it certainly doesn't mean we have your back, Poland. Yes, he did call the Polish president, but he did not repeat what his ambassador to NATO said, which is that the United States would defend every inch of NATO territory. U.S. forces were not engaged in finding a way to get these drones out of the skies when they cross the Polish border, even though U.S. forces are in large numbers in Poland. And many Europeans, officials I'm talking to, are deeply worried that the absence of the United States at that point, the lack of a commitment to the defense of Poland, and the lack of a strong statement from the President of the United States, or indeed the Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State, indicates that perhaps the United States is not committed to defending NATO. And that is a sea change in the way in which the alliance has evolved over the last 76 years.
Okay, can we put this in more blunt terms? Do you think that Europe can basically say now that the United States is not a reliable ally? It's changed policy on Ukraine. It has dithered and dathered. It has not come out strongly. Previous administrations would have absolutely, if this had happened under Biden, Clinton, Bush, the statements would have been rock solid. Can we now say that the United States is not a reliable ally?
Well, what we can say is that the United States does not believe, in contrast to every president since President Roosevelt, that European security is fundamental to American security. You haven't heard this president making that case, that the defense of Europe against a Russian military threat is existential and essential for American security. He thinks that is far away, that these are wars and problems that the Europeans need to solve, not the United States. That is a big deal. The Europeans are slowly coming to understand that they cannot trust the United States and that they will have to defend themselves because they can't trust the United States.
Aren't the real sort of baddies in all of this the Republicans in Congress, those who, before January would have been the hawks galore. They would have been the ones saying, no, we've got to, etc., etc., etc. They were the ones forcing Biden to send more, if you will, into the last year. Now, oh no, see nothing, hear nothing, nothing, keep moving, keep moving.
Well, the hawks in Congress, the Republicans in Congress are already moving away in 2024. Remember how hard it was for President Biden to get that last big package of some $60 billion to $30 billion military assistance and another 30 economic assistance through Congress because the House, the Republican House, did not want to vote for it. And in the end, it did. So it's been there for a while, but yes, you're absolutely right. Particularly in the Senate, particularly where people like Lindsey Graham and others have been extremely hawkish on Ukraine, extremely hawkish on Russia. We don't seem to hear their voices as loudly and as clearly today as when the Democrats were in power.
Just to be clear, so that there's no confusion, you don't believe it was a mistake, all those drones?
I do not. I believe it was deeply intentional to test primarily the defenses of NATO, which I think did very well, but also the degree to which the United States was committed to the defense of Europe. And on that, I think Vladimir Putin got his answer, and it's not one that any one of us was hoping he would get.
I'm grateful, sir. Thank you, Ambassador.